What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. And for today's video, it is very exciting because this literally just came out. I'm pretty sure at this point it's already been leaked and shown and all that stuff, but I'm hoping I'll be one of the first to actually play with it and have a video for you guys to see it in action, which is the PALLETE Jewel eyeshadow palette from Colourpop, a new 30 pan palette. This packaging is so beautiful. Like, this is literally one of my favorites, and I always say that because their packaging is always so cute. It's always so hard to like pick which is like your favorite, but this one, it's just beautiful. It's so elegant, like it's so pretty. It has that matte touch type of feel, but it also has the glossy finish as well on some of the packaging. The font is raised as well. So that is the front and this is the back. So you have your shade names, and as you guys can see, you cannot see the names until you like move it. So you have to do this number in order to see the names. I wish the font was in black, but that's just me being nitpicky about it. Honestly, it doesn't really bother me, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't really bother you guys, but that's just something, you know, I wish that they could have done. But enough of me talking about the palette. Let's show you the palette. The actual packaging as well is the same as the palette, as you guys can see, front and back. And it says the shades: ranges of rich teals and blues, flashes of fuchsia, hints of amethyst, glimmers of citrine and copper, pops of rose gold. The finishes are mattes and metallics. So here are the shades, very jewel toned as the name of the palette says. So you have a bunch of beautiful shimmers and mattes. I think this palette can cater to a lot of people because it does have its warms, it has its neutrals, it has its cools, it has its deeper tones, it has its pops of color. So I think it's like created very well as far as, you know, that it can be for literally anybody, in my opinion. And I think this is a really nice palette for people to start playing with color without it being too much, like too dramatic. I mean, I'm dramatic, but that doesn't mean that you have to be when you use this palette. I also think that it's really nice for travel as well. Is it the most unique color story? Absolutely not. There's so many palettes that look like this. I don't have the It's a Mood palette because I'm pretty sure people are going to think that like these teal and blue and purple tones are going to look very similar. When I first saw this palette, I was like, wow, the packaging is so beautiful, but it kind of reminds me of something that I've seen before. So I pulled out the So Jaded, and it's very similar. Obviously it's not the same, but it does have like the jewels on the front of the packaging. So let me go ahead and show you So Jaded. I believe that So Jaded is such a gorgeous palette as well, but it's, I don't know, the color story is beautiful. I just wish it was laid out a little bit more differently so people can be more drawn to it as far as like the color combinations that you can get. But still, all in all, a beautiful palette. I need to play with this a lot more. I think this is a really gorgeous palette for the fall time as well, since we are transitioning. But yeah, let me open both so you can see if there are any similarities. I haven't even done this myself. To me, I feel like there may be some similar shades, but not really. I think that the So Jaded is definitely more deeper tones. I think that the PALLETE Jewel palette is a good sister palette to the So Jaded if you didn't get a chance to pick this one up, since I believe it's being discontinued, or I know it's not in stock right now, that's for sure, because this one always sells out. But I think this is a really good sister palette, and I think these can even work really well together. So I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, those look pretty similar. But I still had this like vision that I know that there's something else that looks similar. And I looked into my, you know, Colourpop collection because I have a lot. And I remembered this palette, the Through My Eyes palette, the collaboration that they had with I Love Sarai. This is one of my favorite collabs that they ever came out with. And I just remembered that the packaging, this Kaleido type of packaging, is very similar to the PALLETE Jewel palette, as it's upside down. But yeah, it has like that similar kind of, you know, pattern. So I feel like it's a combination, these two, that made this. I don't know, that's just something that I noticed. Let me show you the Through My Eyes palette really quick as well. How gorgeous is this palette? I wish they could bring it back, honestly. I think it's so beautiful. They did such a great job. Honestly, I feel like this one has more similar shades to this palette, but you still have your unique shades as well. Like, see these two teals, they're not exactly the same. This one's definitely more green, and this one is more like blue toned. And then you have that emerald green at the top with this. This is hard to do. I should have thought this through more. And then you have these two that are kind of similar. It could be actually, no, not even. They're very, all three of these shades are very different. So this one is more blue, and then this one is more green. So yeah, you have like your similar tones, but they're not exactly the same. They also included another new product that was going to be released, which is the Party Proof eyeshadow primer. And I'm so excited that they came out with an eyeshadow primer. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Like, how come they haven't come out with this sooner? But I totally understand why. But these are really nice, and you guys will see it in action, of course, but they only have 3 shades so far. So they have translucent, caramel, and deep. So this is the packaging right here, and when I first saw it, I thought it was a squeezy tube, but it's actually a doe foot applicator. So I thought that was like, oh, that looks just like the Urban Decay primer potion. So here is the Urban Decay primer potion for reference. So very similar. I think the Urban Decay one is more pointed and the other one is more of a square tip. Eyeshadow primer claims to be crease proof, formulated with long wearing party proof ingredients for all day and all night wear. Locks in color, the perfect base to grip shadows for more intense color to lock in vibrancy all day. For smooth application, infused with caffeine, known to tighten skin for smoother, more even application, which I think is really nice to incorporate for, like, you know, more mature skin. You know, we do tend to, you know, crease more and all that kinds of stuff. So I think that's really nice, and I'm really impressed with this. You guys will see. So I'm not sure how much these are going to be, but just for reference of how much you get. So this has 0.42 ounces and the Urban Decay has 0.33. So you actually get a little bit more product in the Colourpop one. I never do swatches when it comes to, you know, eyeshadow palettes, but I'm going to go ahead and swatch all of the shades from the Play It Jewel palette so you guys can see. So we have Crystalline, Rocker, Luster, Agate You, Reflect On, and Graded. Second row we have Optical, Sparkle, Purity, Rare Earth, Uncut, and So Polished. Third row we have Faceted, Carrots, Fractal, Treasure Box, Mirror, and Craft. Fourth row we have Peace Out, Crown, Tiara, Geode Life, Moving Colors, and Relic. The fifth and final row we have Bangle, Wave-like, Majesty, Surreal, Mosaic, and Finest. So those were all of the swatches. As you guys can see, some were smoother than others and more vibrant than others, but you know, I like to judge more when they're placed on the actual eye. As you guys can see, they worked beautifully. Pigment was there. I'm really happy with it. But if you guys want to see how I created this look, then just keep on watching. I'm going to prep my eye with the new Party Proof eye primer that Colourpop came out with. As you guys can see, it's a doe foot applicator, just like the Urban Decay one. And I'm just going to place this. feel like I have to dip in a little bit more unless I'm being excessive, but I really want to make sure. You can see it is translucent, so I'm just going to go in with my finger. You can go in with a brush as well, but I'm going to go in with my finger and spread this. There's a little bit of a tackiness to it, but it does dry down, so give it about a minute. First color I'm dipping into is Wave-like, this teal shade. So I'm stamping in the color first, as you guys can see, and then I'm going to be slowly blending it upwards. But I'm creating like this V type of shape on the outer corner to create like that elongated look. Just a bit. But as you guys can see, the eyeshadow primer is working really well. Like, it's not skipping or anything like that. It's grabbing onto the color really nicely so far. Just slowly blending this shade without dipping in anymore or anything, just using the excess what's on the brush and slowly blending it upwards to create that gradient. To set the rest of the eyeshadow base, I went in with a little bit of Rocker, this like tan shade. And this is going to help also like blend the transition shade. Since the palette doesn't have like a darker blue shade, I'm going to go into Finest, which is like this chocolatey brown. And I'm going to use this to create that depth, as you guys can see, and I will show you guys. So I'm going to place this right underneath Wave-like, just underneath. And like I said, you can do this with the darkest shades of the palette, a brown like I'm using, or a black. Obviously be a little bit more careful with the black, because if you do overdo it with black, it can get really messy. So it should look a little bit like this. Now I'm going to go back with Wave-like and go right on top of it. You see how it just created like a two-tone like depth to the color? I love doing this trick. It might seem unnecessary to some people, but I really like it just because, like I said, since you don't have like a darker blue shade as another transition, you kind of create your own, you know, with the own colors that you already have. And just like that, you have a deeper tone of the teal shade. So now I'm going to cut my crease. What I have been doing recently, I'm going to use a Q-tip here with some micellar water. I think this is a lot like gentler on the eye area because our eyes are the most delicate skin. So I have been doing this, just kind of put a little too much. Also kind of get rid of some of the excess, because if you know you overdo it, then you ruin the whole entire look. So I pretty much removed most of the eyeshadow that was on the lid and kind of created my shape. Now to further clean it up and create a better shape, I'm going to use my P. Louise base. Take your time with this, especially if you aren't that great with cut creases. Not to say that I'm a pro, but I've done this for quite a while, so I know myself. Moving on to the best part of this whole entire tutorial, which are the lid shades. And I'm going to be going into Sparkle first, this light greeny gold shade. And I'm going to be placing this on the inner portion of the eye first. Like, look how it's so pretty. Next, going into Crown, this gorgeous emerald shade. I love green so much. It's so beautiful. And I'm bringing it a little bit into Sparkle so we can create that gradient. Bringing it almost halfway, but I'm going to leave that empty spot for the third shade. I think these shimmers look so beautiful together. Ugh, I'm obsessed. Okay, so now to finish off the rest of the lid with the last shimmer shade, which is Tiara. This gorgeous like cobalt blue shimmer. This one is really pretty as well, but it does take a little bit of building up. And I feel like it's a little bit drier than the other shimmers. And I'm going to go ahead and blend that with Crown. So I'm going to take a little bit of my P. Louise base and create this shadow wing that I did on the other side in a V shape, kind of like creating an actual wing. So you guys can see it's like an angle, and then just feathering it out on the end right here. To set the shadow wing, I didn't know what color I wanted to use. I actually wanted to just use Wave-like as well to just make this a bluish green look, but I wanted to utilize as many colors as I possibly could that still look cohesive. So I went ahead and set it and put this beautiful like grape purple, which is called Surreal. And I think it just gave this look a little bit more life and really still keeping it jewel toned. I'm just setting it very lightly because you also don't want to lose the actual shimmers as well. I'm also going to fill in this gap right here with the purple, but I'm also going to mix a little bit of a wave-like as well, like both of them together. Gonna clean up the little bit of fallout that we had, but honestly there wasn't much, which I'm very impressed with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it up a bit to create that like wing effect. This is how it's looking so far. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my base off camera, and then I'm also gonna figure out what I'm gonna do for the lower lash line, and I will be right back. I'm back, my base is done. I got my lashes on as well. I'm not forgetting to press record for this part again. So I went ahead and stuck with the purple on the lower lash line so we can just incorporate like the top together. So I'm just gonna use the same shade, this one right here, which is Surreal, and then I'm gonna go into Majesty, which is this really pretty like shimmery purple, and I'm gonna put that a little bit towards the front. But first, to tie in a little bit of this blue, I'm gonna go in with Wave-like just a little bit right here on the outer corner. That way it can tie with the top. Now I'm going with that purple Surreal shade. Going with Majesty, that shimmery purple. Make sure to tap off your brush so you don't have any fallout. And I wanted to incorporate a little bit more color with this pink shade right here, which is Geode Life. Just a tiny bit on top of that Majesty shade. And also with that purple. For the inner corner, I really didn't know what I wanted to use. I mainly stuck with Sparkle and just a little bit of Crystalline, that shimmery champagne shade. I'm gonna go in with Sparkle first. Bring it lower. A little bit of Crystalline. I'm tapping this on top just to brighten it a little bit more. This one does have more fallout, so just be careful. Just tap off your brush before you go in. See, it just kind of gives it a little bit more life. Sticking to the purple theme, I'm going to be using a purple eyeliner in the waterline. This is also from Colourpop in the shade Charmer. So that completes this look using the new Palette Jewel 30 pan eyeshadow palette from Colourpop. I really loved how this turned out. I wasn't expecting, you know, to do this color combination. I was just playing around, which is, you know, why I love makeup and playing with color. You just never know what kind of looks that you can create. I hope you guys like it. I know it's not very wearable. Literally none of my looks mostly on this channel are wearable, but you know what? That's just me. I love color. I love to play. And I hope you guys are also like open to play with color and stuff. It's so fun, you know? So I really enjoyed this palette. I love the color combinations that I chose. I tried my best to use, you know, a lot of the jewel tones, you know, the purples, the blues, the greens, even, you know, some pops of like gold. But I like the gold because it's not completely gold. It has like a green shift to it, like that greeny gold. So I really think that this palette is really nice to have in your collection. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. You know, you do what you want to do as far as if this is worth your money or not, because like I said, there's so many other palettes that could look like this to you, or you know, from other brands or even from Colourpop themselves. But honestly, I think Colourpop does do very similar color stories, but they're never the same. At least I don't think so. They can come out with 3 or 4 different type of purple palettes, but they all have different undertones, if that makes sense. So I believe that this was a nice one to incorporate that goes along with the other 30 pan eyeshadow palettes that you can either combine or, you know, use this separately, obviously. And the quality as well. Colourpop is so great and so affordable. I know there's mixed opinions about that, but the proof is in the pudding, in my opinion. This is a really nice palette, but is it necessary? That is totally up to you. I also really enjoyed the Party Proof eyeshadow primer that they came out with. So far there's only 3 shades. Like I said, there's Translucent, Caramel, and Deep. Honestly think that they are very comparable to the Urban Decay primer potion, honestly. So I'm not sure when this palette releases, but I'm assuming Thursday. Either Monday or Thursday, but I'm assuming Thursday because by this point I did see that they already posted about it. Well, they sneak peeked it on their Instagram stories, and it's in black and white, so it still hasn't been shown. But obviously at this point I'm pretty sure some of y'all have seen it at this point. I'm not sure how much it's going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be $34, just like the other 30 eyeshadow pan palette. So that is pretty much it, you guys. I hope you liked this video once again. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I will also have all of my other social media links down below, so you guys can follow me on there. I will be creating more looks with this eyeshadow palette, so definitely follow me on my Instagram. Let me know if you guys are going to be picking anything up, the palette, the eyeshadow primer. I forget to mention that I do have a discount code with Colourpop, and I will leave it right here. It is Veronica, and you can use it at checkout if you guys want to save some money. Even if it's not for this collection, you can use it with anything, honestly. I'm not sure if it's gonna work for this release. Most of the time they do, so yeah, if that's the option. I don't make anything off of that code, but it's just to save you guys some money and to support me as a creator. That is pretty much it, you guys. So I don't have anything else to say except I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.